So after All Day with it, you guys released One Up in 2009. You mentioned that it kind of got released early where you could have used a little bit more time. You're feeling the pressure probably to follow up the success of the album before it. You go back to LA again. So why LA? It's just that's the vibe you want, is that sublime SoCal.
Yeah, just get away. There's so many options with the great studios and producers, and yeah, get away from everyone, so you have less distractions. Even though we end up getting a mansion and to live in, and made so many more distractions for us because the crowd that was kind of around us just turned into more of a party house. But it was yeah, so we moved to LA, picked our producer beforehand, which was the wrong choice. In all honesty, it was the wrong guy to go with. He had a great sales pitch, but then after you started working, it was just like definitely not the right call. And that came even more relevant even years later. Like, sometimes you could be in the moment, you could be thinking you're too much inside your head, and you might be thinking like, oh, maybe I'm being too harsh, or maybe I'm not seeing the full picture, and I need to step away from it for a second. But years later, step away from it, that's even worse than I thought at the time. The label wasn't interested because we said no to the 360 deal, so they were never there to even for any guidance or support, or any kind of additional advice that they're going to be spending so much money on this thing. You figured they'd want to be involved. Whereas All Day with it, we recorded the thing in about 2.5 months, and there was a label rep there every single week, I would say, for the almost the whole duration of the recording process. But they'd show up at least once or twice every week for the whole time. On this, after we said no to the 360 deal, they showed up for one session out of 3 months. So that
Did it feel like they abandoned ship a bit after you said no to the deal?
100%. They're the A&R said, when he's talking to me, if we went with the 360 deal, it would entice the company to really want to work the project more. And in my head, I'm like, bro, you guys are spending $500,000 on this project with, like, that's what you're on for between the record and marketing and this and that. Like, isn't that enough reason to
incentive?
be enticed? Yeah, exactly. Incentive to put work into it. Like, don't you want this money back? But it's just at the end of the year, it's just to mark the loss, and it is what it is. To us, it was literally, it totally, it was the end of our career, so to speak. It wasn't like we still continue stuff, but that was like a big like severance that could have been different if we maybe went with it. Who knows? But a little more guidance and even just more time writing would have been crucial for it. Changing the producer, just having that freedom to do that. And I think if we stayed with Sony and gave them what they wanted, they would have given us the time, the tools to do that. So in retrospect, it was probably the bad call, because it's not like I made money off it anyways. So it would have just kind of gave us more time and a little more time to properly focus, get some, even if it meant getting an outside writer for a couple of songs, those just to stir things up, because basically the first 11 songs we wrote became the album. It's terrible. That's a terrible way to go about anything, especially when you're in our position, major record, and you should have like 50 songs written to be able to pick from at least, and then you pick your best ones, and those are the ones that that become the album. Here it was just first 11 ideas, and some of those ideas are okay, some of those ideas are garbage, you know. And we made them as best as we could, and we've tried to feel good about them, but it never really felt like the way like all day with it felt. You know, we had all day with it. We had our whole life to write that song because we took songs we rewrote, and like, you know, it was just a different energy. It was really raw, and that first new excitement that was poured into it. Whereas, yeah, with One Up, it was just not good. And you know, it basically, it shows with the sales weren't good, and you know, the reception wasn't good either. It's just the energy wasn't there on the record. It wasn't what the record should have been. But you know, such is life.
So earlier we talked about Incubus. We have a fan of illScarlett that writes in with a question, and I know him personally, and he's a massive Incubus fan as well. So his name's Selge Menard, and his question is, what was it like breaking into the music industry at a time when streaming was just taking off and album sales were in decline? Did it even matter since most of your revenue probably came from touring?
Yeah, I mean, the streaming definitely hurt our sales, right? So that was so I remember one of our touring buddies, Liam, he'd know all about the torrents and like where to find like the albums where people were ripping them off, and he showed me some of the torrents that we were downloading all day with it, and the numbers were staggering. So wow. It was like there was one that he found that had over 600,000 like downloads of the album. So I'm like, that's just one torrent, 600,000.
That's a gold album in the US, you know. That's crazy.
That's funny. These people want this music, and they're not paying me anything. Even if they paid me $1 from that, that would have been helpful. You know what I mean? Like, man, that was just one torrent. He showed me another one. This other one's got 45,000. This one's got 110,000. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, how is this even legal? So yeah, absolutely. It completely, you know, robbed us because these people wanted the music enough to take it. I understand that it's not, you know, not everybody has money to do it, to be able to afford an album when it comes out, and that's just what it is. But it was a weird time because of the transition, so you didn't know who was going to be really at fault and where it was going to go. And you know, and then here we are now, everything is about streaming. Like fat chance selling an album, you know, people like the novelty of owning a vinyl, which is nice, you know, but as far as the physical copy, during that time, it was a very weird situation, because you could just see the money not going well in our pocket, or even recouping with the label. And yeah, it definitely hurt us.
So on One Up, that's the first album where Anthony Carone ends up coming in to record with the band. So I had Anthony of the Arkells on the podcast a few episodes ago, and he talked a lot about illScarlett being his big break, that becoming a touring member, doing some recording on that album really helped him out. So, you know, right off the bat on that album, the first song, Take It for Granted, you can hear his keys right off the bat. So what did he bring to that album?
Yeah, well, it was the first time we had like keys on the whole thing, so his energy was amazing. You know, Tony's really easy to work with, so it wasn't like it was a hard transition or anything. He felt like a brother. We were touring anyways to this point. I think everything was new to him too, right? I think his first time on a plane was flying to LA to do this. So that was like, you know, you have a guy that's completely green as far as this kind of experience is, but his skill was on a level that he's been pro for decades. You know, it's just like completely polar opposites of what his experience is to what his skill level is. But what he brought to it was, yeah, just a new dynamic that we never had in the band, and it was great. But as far as that, see, the album never turned out to the way I wanted to sound. So it's like, I still think it could have all the keys and all our other instruments and everything could have been just so much better if we had chose the right producer and focused more on the music. We had a lot of fun during that recording process, probably more fun than with All Day With It, but so much fun that it really hurt that final outcome. So we weren't focused and we were just too distracted. So it's like what he brought was awesome, but if we were working with the right people, it would have been that much greater because it would have been proper direction.
So I have a quote here from Anthony Carone of the illScarlett's. He says, "I owe quite a bit of what I do to Swav and illScarlett. Growing up in Streetsville, Ill was one of the first bands I saw at Masonic Lodge. I believe I was 16 or 17 at the time. Seeing their rise really pushed me into wanting to play in a live band and be a part of that scene. Fast forward years later, Swav took a chance on a green, this is what you were saying, little punk rock kid and asked me to play keys for Ill. I got to experience playing iconic venues across Canada and the US for the first time, touring in vans and buses. Hell, my first flight was flying to LA to record with them. Again, all of this because he took a chance on me. I can definitely say that playing with the band thickened the hell out of my skin, and I truly owe that to Swav. I will forever be grateful. I always look forward to a text message from him about jamming out with those dudes, and I can't wait for the next one." So that's Anthony Carone. Ton of success. Arkel's one of the biggest bands in Canada. I guess what are your thoughts on how much success he's had since then, and part of your band and you personally is what put him on that trajectory?
Honestly, I'm extremely proud of him. I saw it coming because I saw no matter what he was going to be, it was going to be very, very successful. Once he started talking to the right people, his confidence built up, and he could see the potential of what there is out there. I knew he was going to land something, whether it was, honestly, if it wasn't the Arkel's, he could have been like playing for Bieber. He's that level, that level of skill is in Tony. His showmanship is unbelievable. Very, very little ego, like next to none. So that's such a perfect combo to have around you, but his skills are amazing. So if I think it was a good call for him to do the Arkel's thing, because they've just been steady growing, and he is now a crucial member of the band. I know at one point it was just touring and it wasn't like an official guy. I think it might have been even maybe temporary from through the grapevines. Like he didn't know if he was going to stay, if other guys going to come back, blah, blah, blah. But like as soon as he stepped in there, there's no way you're going to give up Tony, because just he is a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, he deserves all the success that he's gotten and to where it's going to go. It's because he's just that good of a person, So yeah, it's amazing to see. I'm, like I said, very, very proud of Tony. And other than that, I always get stoked when he is able to squeeze us into the very few shows that we do. But he, I shoot him a text and he's like an old pal. There's no ego at all. It's just we shoot the shit for a little bit on the phone, send some stupid memes and have some laughs, and then then it's back to when there's a show like that show coming up, he'll be joining us, which is gonna be awesome. And looking forward to that for sure.
So the two singles off of One Up were Take It for Granted and Milkshake and Razor Blades. Quick question about the music video. So how many instruments were destroyed by paint in the Take It for Granted video? And then for Milkshakes and Razor Blades, how many takes did it take for you guys to do all the backwards stuff?
Well, yeah. So my drums still have fucking green paint just wedged in places I could never ever get off. So that's a forever thing. So yeah, it's never come out, to answer that question. We, as far as the guitars that used, we just used some beaters that like we knew those will be completely just gone. I think we gave one of them away to charity or something, one or two of them, just because it was just more of a novelty thing. And then with milkshakes, that came down to Alex. Alex he drove himself pretty crazy learning all those lyrics, and it was actually beyond impressive that he did it, and he took it like so seriously. We were on tour, and the whole time he's just like just.
So he had to sing them backwards.
He rewrote every lyric phonetically, rewrote every single lyric phonetically, so he could kind of read it, and then he would sing it all back, and he memorized all the lyrics that he sings backwards. And then, even when he practiced, he would turn on his voice note and what's it called? Oh, hold on a sec.
That's okay. The family's getting home.
Okay.
No worries.
Let me move upstairs quickly here. Okay, because the kids are. Do you want to pause it for a sec there, or how's that work?
No, just keep going. It's all good. This is all one take. No worries. We get a mini tour of the house.
Yeah. Hey, babe, I'll be almost done in like 10 minutes. Okay.
So on the single Milkshakes and Razor Blades, you guys have Canadian hip hop legend Kardinal Offishall. I'm curious if that was the band's choice, if that was the label wanting to put a hip hop star on to ensure that it's a hit single. What was it like recording with him? Was he there in LA, or did he record his part on his own and send it in? These are the questions that come to my mind when I hear that song.
Yeah. So I don't remember if he was the first choice, or we just basically wanted some kind of a feature. Couldn't figure out who it was, but then his song, Old Time. That was an Old Time. I don't know. I'm not so bad with like song names and titles, whatever. But there was a song that specifically had like a really cool Jamaican vibe on there. That came on, and then we thought about it, like that could be cool, and we knew him through the grapevine, so got a manager to reach out, and he was interested, and that was pretty much it. Send the track. We weren't doing it together. We were out in LA, and he was at home in his home studio. I think it was maybe a day or two later. It was pretty quick turnaround. He just sent what he had, and we were stoked on it. So that's all it was. Pretty simple overall process, but yeah, he nailed it.